This channel, over the last 8 years, has not shied away from sharing different theories and ideas that one could probably label fringe or perhaps even conspiracy. A great many conspiracy theories over the years have eventually come true. Well, today I'm going to share one with you that might kind of blow your mind. I think because of our easy access to the internet, as a society, we are beginning to suffer from some new form of collective dissociative amnesia. Meaning we can call up certain events and data so easily now on the internet or on our phones with whatever device that we have lost the grand picture of what the culture was in our own country 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's like being able to pick out certain dots of color from a painting, but forgetting what the painting was. And I have proof for it. How many of you have seen this? Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, the director of the FBI and the deputy director of the FBI, went on Maria Bartiromo and said, well, based on all the evidence that we've seen, Epstein did kill himself. And there's nothing more to it. Now, based on this, I think we owe Pam Bondi a big apology because she got hired by Donald Trump to go in and clean house and Epstein files, this, that, and the other. And she went in and said, well, I've looked at everything and they're on my desk and I'm going to be releasing something shortly. And she did that whole mess with the binders and the right-wing influencers that failed. You see, you would have to imagine, because she's the one that was yelling about national security, that there were things that just couldn't be released because of national security. That should have woken up both Tulsi Gabbard and Kristi Noem, because being the head of Homeland Security and the director of national intelligence, they would have had an interest in seeing what specifically in the Epstein files would be a threat to national security if it was known. So with all three of them, all three of these ladies, having eyeballs on all of those files and nothing being done, and then these two gentlemen confirming the story, I think what we have here is only one of two options. Either Donald Trump is so hip deep in it they can't say anything, or it's what I have alleged at this channel that has gotten me so much pushback and angst and anger. Now, real quick, before we get into the details of this, I just want to always be thankful. Show gratitude. Thank you. All of you who have joined us, Florida Maquis Patreon channel, very much appreciate it. The next big topic we're going to be talking about, as we spoke about the other day, the fundamental attribution error, which basically in a nutshell states that if other people do bad things, like, for example, they cut you off in traffic, they did so because they're just rude and mean and they don't like you. And you need to retaliate right now. But if you accidentally cut somebody off in traffic, it's just because you were distracted and you didn't see and you had a bad day. You didn't mean to do it. And you give yourself the benefit of the doubt, but no one else, basically. Now, if you'd like to join us over there, we're going to do a real deep dive into this. And the next videos, of course, are going to be the reset videos where we start with everybody in the room. McKee foot soldiers, need to know roundtable, unit commanders, brigade commanders. Everybody's going to be in the room for this one. So love to have you over there. Hundreds of videos going back many, many years. And the best part, fully refundable. Fully refundable for 90 days, no questions asked. So you're not really risking anything. You're truly not. But let's get right to it. Let's get down to the meat of what we're talking about. I've shared this picture before, and I'm going to share it again. This is Prince Andrew. He was 40 in this picture. This is Virginia Giuffre, who recently passed. In this picture, she's 20. 40 and 20. Now, allegedly, and here's where people need to pay attention. According to Pam Bondi, there are thousands and thousands of hours and hundreds of victims of videotape from Epstein Island. Question. Honest to God question. Why is she the only one? She and one or two others. Why are they the only ones that have stood up and tried to say or do anything? You see, Virginia Giuffre herself even wasn't going to say anything until Hillary Clinton tracked her down in Australia. She had just moved away and forgotten about it when this got dredged up way back in 2016. Even then it was a 16-year-old story. Now it's a 25-year-old story. You see, here's what I think is happening. People have forgotten how sexualized the culture was during that time compared to now. People have completely forgotten how, well, here was a popular video from the time that would never make it right now. This is Christina Aguilera and her video Dirty from that era. Slave for You, Britney Spears. Both of these girls are about the same age as Virginia Giuffre. This was basically just what would be described as a softcore orgy video. Go back 20 more years, and you've got Tawny Kitaen writhing over different cars and different videos, or the scene I'm sure a lot of you remember because I know how old my audience is. Remember Cold Hearted Snake? When the lights went down? There was huge controversies over this. Huge controversies over this being shown to young kids, high school kids. You see, there's been this big push last, I say, 15 years or so to completely remove all of this imagery from the internet and from entertainment. But back then, the idea of a 20-year-old girl going for a roll in the hay with a 40-year-old rich man or a prince, it wouldn't have even made the news. It wouldn't have even made the news in 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. In that era, it just wasn't salacious enough. And people have forgotten this. That they have forgotten the entire culture of the time and of the era, I think is fascinating. While you can pick out different things from that time, using the internet, our minds have forgotten the entire context of the era. And there were things coming out, and music and entertainment and in the movies that were just, I mean, really, really pushing the boundaries of decency and, you know, what was allowed to be seen in public. This story with Jeffrey Epstein was, okay, some teen girls, you know, decided to take off to a island in the British Virgin Islands with these billionaires and these rich guys and made themselves a bunch of money and, you know, and did what you would imagine. And that's what these guys are reporting. And here's the crazy part about this. I think they're just as shocked because they kind of fell for what their viewers were telling them. Oh, there's bodies buried, and there's little girls and little tiny baby girls, 5 and 7 and 9 years old, and they buried them in graves, and there's bones everywhere, and all this other bullshit. That none of that was true. None of that happened. And that's where these guys are like, wow. Yeah, I guess this is, you know, this really was just teenage prostitution, which is what Epstein was convicted of. And both of these guys said, look, we saw the evidence, he killed himself. They saw the evidence, and I'm sure all three of these women did. So if none of these three women, Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, none of them are screaming bloody murder. All Trump appointees. And if Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, neither one of them are screaming bloody murder, there might be something else going on, folks. There might be something else going on. And what I truly believe is that because people can't remember more than 2 or 3 years ago anymore, they don't remember that era and how what we would call now inappropriate most of mainstream entertainment was. Late 90s through the early and mid 2000s compared to now, there was no DEI at this time. There was no such thing as the idea of fat shaming at this time. Do you remember? Who remembers Samantha Fox from back in the 80s? Or Tracy Lords? And more proof? You want to see more proof? This is a video a poll that I put up over at the Communities tab, Florida Maquis YouTube channel. And I asked the same question 6 months ago. Is personal independent financial sovereignty the ultimate form of morality? Now, the answers from 5 hours ago are that 41% believe that anything that you need to do to keep enough money coming in to keep you free, keep you in a home, keep you in a car, keep groceries in the fridge, keep your bills paid, and if need be, if you have kids, keep them out of public school. Whatever you need to do to make that happen, that's what you need to do. The morality is in the ends of earning the money, not in the means. 41% said that. Only 6% said that they would consider consider some type of communal living arrangement. Only 6% said this, that they'd give up being personally, financially sovereign if it meant hanging on to their morals. That means, okay, I can't afford everything right now, but I'm not going to go do anything immoral, so I'm going to go split bills. I'm going to go live communally with a couple other families in a big home. Only 6% said they would do that. But here's the part that's going to blow your mind. 48% of respondents said they would rather go be a ward of the state, give up all of their freedom, all of their money, all of their guns, all of their choices based on a moral belief. 48% said they'd rather go to prison. And then the final one, these folks basically said, well, I'm going to give up trying to establish morals for myself. Whatever Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. tells me to do, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to follow him no matter what. 6%. Now, here's the crazy part. You want to see what the results were 5 months ago? 67%. 67% said, yeah, whatever I need to do to keep the money coming in, that's what I'm going to do. 10% said that, well, as much as I would like to perhaps, be independent and make my own decisions, if I had to give up that, perhaps, women seeking a rich man to help them out with the bills, that they would marry away their independence and their sovereignty. Only 10% said they'd do that. But only 14% 5 months ago said that they would give away their principles and go to prison. That they'd give away all their freedom. Only 14% and only 9% said trust in government. Look at that, folks. See, this was under Biden. This was the last month of the Biden administration when I did this poll. Last month of the Biden administration. Whoops, hold on. And this is now. This is incredible. It's absolutely incredible to me to see the shift just in that short amount of time. And this picture I'm sure you guys have seen before. You see, money is green no matter how you earn it. Like, for example, can you imagine a manager of a Publix seeing a girl dressed like this and asking her to leave? We know what you do for a living, ma'am. Ma'am, we see how you're dressed, and here at Publix, we try to make it a family environment, and so we're not going to take your money. We're not going to allow you to shop for your groceries here anymore. See, does it matter how you earn your money when you're taking that money and feeding your kids, paying the rent, keeping a car, keeping clothes on your back, keeping the bills paid? He said, I'm sorry, ma'am. Step away from the produce. This produce is for family-oriented folks only, and I don't care how much money you have. You're not going to buy your groceries here. Go down to Walmart. Go down to Aldi. That sounds pretty ridiculous, doesn't it? It sounds pretty ridiculous, doesn't it? But that's what kind of brings us back to here. That's what's going on in reality right now. There are people out there who would rather become wards of the state, give away all of their freedom, go behind bars, not have a gun, not have any more. Well, really, once you're locked up, once you're in prison, you have no Bill of Rights at this point because of the removal of habeas corpus. They can just lock you up indefinitely now. That people would rather do that than to say, well, I might have to do something that might not be morally the most ideal choice to keep the bills paid. Rather than do anything that could possibly be questioned morally by anyone, I'm just going to go to prison. I'm going to go sleep out in the slop and the weather. Look at the looks on these guys' faces. I don't think these guys are hiding anything other than maybe one option. I can't imagine all three of these women, based on what was alleged to have happened, that they would just say, well, we're deep state now. We're just going to hide it. Not buying that. I'm not buying that at all. I think they all saw something that was so different than what make-believe magical nonsense story had been cooked up by the internet, that at this point, they just have to let it drop. We'll get more into this over the Patreon channel because it really does have to do with fundamental attribution error. And I know that seems like it's a heavy lift to get from that place to what's going on, but that's part of what intelligence is all about. Psychological operations is understanding the connections and how the human mind works. So I'd love to have you over there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.